So one of the things that I wanted to share just briefly, just before this training, we emailed out to everybody the social media guidelines, and that should be a good resource for you as chapter leaders, and specifically you as the social media vice chairs, to create a base for your operations and how you can use this tool, which is what it is, to do the good work of BYU. We're grateful for what you do there. I'm not going to go through it bit by bit, but I'm going to go ahead and share this so we can see it on your screen. So a couple of key points as you're building your social media profiles and platforms. These are the purposes for what we do it for. And like we've talked about before, at the chapter conference and also in other avenues, we need to understand why we're doing this, because you can certainly spend a lot of time on social media, and that's a worry for a lot of folks. But if we think of it as the tool that we're using to build the good, to do the good work of BYU, then I think it makes a lot of sense and it fits into what we're already doing. So you can read through this. I don't need to read to you a few of the key things of why we work in this field, why we work in this area, and why we do social media within the Alumni Association. One thing that I want to walk through here is the naming of the chapters. And so first thing is the approval for creating the accounts. Social media accounts can be set up by authorized alumni chapters, and they can use the BYU name and the likeness on these accounts, as you can read there. But BYU Alumni should be used in the name of the account or profile. And as we did our audit of all of our profiles that currently do exist, most of them do follow that pattern. If yours by chance does not, you as the admin on that profile can change that or create a new one as you move forward. The preferred naming of the profile here, as we go through the account setup, is BYU Alumni, and then as example, as you can see here, San Diego chapter, Austin chapter, Boston chapter. That makes it easy to identify that it is BYU Alumni right up front, and for our searching and for anyone who's looking for it. As you're setting up your new accounts or profiles, or as you're managing them, just remember these three things here. Control and accountability should reside with the current leadership, and the chapter chair, the current chapter chair, and or the vice chair of social media should have access to those accounts. Facebook is based on a user profile, and so there isn't a account login for that. It's based on the user profile, and it should be checked regularly, and keeping it as appropriate as possible. Number two, and this is one thing that we wanted to make sure that you're all aware of, as you're setting it up, our BYU Alumni office here can provide for you a branded image that can include the chapter name, and you can use those as avatars or images on your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram profiles. So feel free to just reach out to us and we can provide that for you. It's not required, but we're happy to do that. And then number three, always remember to link back to the other pieces in the toolbox on alumni.byu.edu or other places where there is more information available online. One thing that before we get to some a little more in-depth training by John, I wanted to point out that there's just a few lists, just a few items here that we'd like you and anyone who's working in the social media sphere to remember as you are engaged in this process, being accurate, truthful, respectful, staying on topics related to BYU and BYU alumni, not making endorsements. Always reread your posts before you post them, and then this is important again for all of us and in the world of social media, and I know that John will touch on this, is that using tags and hashtags with BYU alumni whenever you post. We'll turn the time to John, and we'll connect with Colette after John. So.
Okay, excited to be with you tonight. My name's John McBride, as Michael said. Always happy to talk about social media. I help run the Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram institutional pages for BYU. I've done that for a number of years here. Always new adventures to be had and things to learn. So hopefully I can provide some sort of guidance and direction for you tonight. I looked through those guidelines that Michael talked about, and I think that gives you a really, really good starting point and covers the basics extremely well. So what I want to do today is talk about one specific element of social media, which is influencer marketing, that I think can really help you in reaching a broader base, finding new followers, and being the most effective you can be in sharing the content you want to share. So this presentation that I'll go through, I presented this at the EDU Web Conference in Denver this last summer to social media and digital media professionals in higher education throughout the US and Canada. It was received really well there, and so hopefully we'll be talking about some big picture stuff, but hopefully you can apply this to your own chapters in whatever way you see necessary. I'll try to pull some things out myself, but if you want to look through this with your own chapter lens, I think that would be the best for you. So just a bit of an outline. I won't be able to get through the whole presentation that I did in Denver, so I'll just kind of get the wheels turning here, whet your appetite, and you can feel free to email me or find me on Twitter afterward, and more than happy to talk through more of this. But we'll go through just kind of what influencer marketing is, what the latest in the field is, and then some best practices, how you can utilize that, and we'll break that down a bit more. Along with references to Dawson's Creek, Lil Wayne, Kate Hansen, which was BYU's dancing Olympian back in Sochi. Really, really good influencer marketing case study there. We might get to Pokemon Go as well. So influencer marketing today, influencers are typically defined as digital leaders in a specific field or niche market with a highly engaged following. So it's not just someone who's popular, but it's someone who is a leader. It's someone who has a following that goes beyond just people are interested in them and people are following them, but it's that people are engaged with their content. So people are liking their content, sharing their content, commenting, clicking through. Those kind of things are really important when we talk about influencers. And again, the main benefit here is that as influencers share your content, it increases your reach exponentially. So we're beyond the days of testimonials and celebrity endorsements. You remember the Got Milk campaign of the mid-90s, extremely successful. Obviously, it drew a lot of interest, having celebrities with milk mustaches. But you go to what we're doing today. This is a Super Bowl commercial from last year. Lil Wayne, along with Jeff Goldblum, was in this one for Apartments.com. And sharing a commercial like this during the biggest sporting event of the year is obviously huge. You're going to reach a lot of people just through traditional means, but add on to that the fact that Lil Wayne tweets this from his own Twitter account and has 27 million followers. That's exponential reach. That's, he uses the hashtags from the company. He mentions Apartments.com. It's reaching an audience that they couldn't just reach through a traditional television commercial. Another example, Katy Perry is the most popular individual or brand on Twitter. She partnered with Staples on this campaign, and Staples has a pretty good reach in and of themselves, 322,000 followers. I'd be fine with that. But looking at making that exponential reach, you look at Katy Perry's following, 90.7 million followers. And again, it's more than just the fact that she has that many, but it's who is following her. It's a very different following than the people who traditionally follow Staples, right? So Staples is getting not just to more individuals, but to different individuals. So that's kind of your top level look at influencer marketing. There's also some FTC guidelines if you're paying an influencer, but I won't touch on that because I think there's a better way to do that. You can do it for free quite easily. So let me just go through this first part here of how to identify influencers you could partner with in your content on social media. And then we'll probably be out of time after I go through this. But looking at your audience, try to look at individuals or groups who are influential to them. So you look at the BYU audience as a whole, who's influential to them? There's very obvious answers like Steve Young or Jimmer Fredette, but maybe there's less obvious people or groups like if you look at other entertainers, or right now Studio C is huge. There's lots of groups like that, and you can drill down further and further and further. As you look at your chapters, there are probably people locally who'd be influential. There are people who are members of your chapters who most likely have influence that you could find. But again, influence is not just popularity. It's about driving engagement, people liking, commenting, sharing, interacting with your content. And as I said, you can probably leverage relationships you already have. Here at BYU, we do that with current students, professors, and alumni. With our current students, we monitor a lot of social conversations through hashtags and location searches, see what's happening, see who's getting engagement. It's our biggest branded hashtag of the year. BYU Bound is associated with when students are admitted to BYU. That night those acceptance letters go out. That's, I think, the most fun night of the year for me as far as my job goes. Hop on Instagram, search this hashtag, and you just see a flood of photos from these high school seniors who are ecstatic about getting into BYU. So this is a natural time for us to jump into the conversation, say congratulations. We gain more of a following as they see that, their friends see that, and their family sees that. But also at that same time, we're clicking through to these profiles of these prospective students where we're saying, whoa, this student has 2,000 followers, this student has 3,000 followers. Well, look at the engagement they're getting on these photos. We might want to keep track of them. And the reason we keep track of them is because here we have what we call a street team, a social media street team, which we've patterned after what Oakland University does. Basically, it's a way through the street team to bring together a lot of students here on campus who are doing social media really well and who we can bring together to promote just kind of best practices, to get on the same page, brainstorm, get their feedback. It's a bit of a think tank for us. The students aren't paid. They volunteer to be a part of this, and they really like it for the networking aspect. And so in your own chapters, obviously you don't need to form a street team, but thinking of ways to collaborate like that with maybe some of your top influencers might be something you could look at. So our street team has really benefited us. We just started it last year. In that past year, we grew from 24,000 followers to 72,000 followers on Instagram. And now 90% of our Instagram content actually, it's not from our professional photographers. It's from users. It's from either the street team or other students on campus that we share their content. That's been a really good growth strategy for us. And that's something you could look at as well. Sharing content from the members of your chapters. So this is India Sleem. She's one of the members of our street team. Just want to introduce you to a few of them just so you can kind of see how this influence works. India is from Manchester, England. She's an advertising major. This is a look at her Instagram grid. So you can see a lot of just cool colors and shapes and angles. She does a lot of macro photography. Maybe it's not something that jumps off of the page to you and that you're going to follow right away, but she's 36,000 followers. She's a student here at BYU. She's not an athlete. She's not a performer, but she's really, really big on social media. So that's an audience that we can tap into as we partner with her and talk to her. And when we're not trying to convince her or pay her for posts or anything, we're just trying to get on the same page. Here are some priorities that we have as a university. Is there a photo you could take that's along those lines? So Cooper is another member of our street team. As you can see, very different photographic style. He's kind of your typical outdoorsy male student. He's actually on a mission right now, but as you can see from the photos, he had a pretty fun freshman year. Shanoa, again, a different style again, very artistic. She's actually on Living Legends. And then this is Claire, who took these stunning photos from her time at BYU Jerusalem. This was the best look we've ever had at a semester at BYU Jerusalem. So we followed her closely and shared a lot of her content. And then this is Tyson, again, another look, another perspective. So that street team has been really effective for us. Again, that those students have influence. The people who are following them are oftentimes different than the people who are following us. So we're reaching different people through partnering with them. Professors that we have on campus, we're partnering with them. In the literal sense of the word, they are extremely influential human beings. They're leading experts in multiple fields, and they're teaching right here on campus. Are they on social media? Some of them are, and when they are, we can work with them, we can collaborate, but even when we aren't, even just mentioning them or talking about them can hold influence. Some of our most popular posts on social media, more popular than we think, is simply when we're profiling a certain professor that has a high level of affinity that students really like to engage with. But we are seeing better and better professors on social media. This is Chris Jones, a new history professor. A really cool mix of things that he does at BYU and at home and outdoors. It's been really cool to see kind of this evolution of even professors on campus jumping on social. Alumni we've worked with on campus. This has been a natural thing for us. Liz Wiseman came to campus to speak at a devotional or forum last year. And an important part of this is when influential alumni have come to campus, it's more than just, we know they're coming to campus, so let's throw up a photo and that'll be great. This is, a couple weeks in advance. It's me emailing her social media team and saying, okay, what do you guys want? What can we give you? When are you going to post? What are you going to post? And again, just working together, we can make it a win-win relationship. So that's been effective for us. This post here, you can see they shared our post from Brigham Young University from their multipliers account, Liz's famous book that she wrote. So that's an audience of business professionals that are seeing our BYU content that we previously haven't reached. It's through her influence. Lindsay Sterling came back for graduation. We shot this video. This actually took a ton of time and effort and back and forth with her publicity team, but we managed to get a couple minutes on her schedule right before the actual graduation, and shot the video, put it up on Facebook, and it reached a ton of people and a ton of international teenagers, because that's Lindsay Sterling's huge audience. And it was a lot of teenagers who were commenting on our video about never having heard of BYU before, but being introduced to it from this video. So this was our foot in the door by using this influencer in Lindsay. So I'll just breeze through this real quick. There's also a lot of robust online tools. We use Iconosquare, which is the leading platform for Instagram analytics. This is a free tool. Their brand index is a free tool. You can look through and see who are the most popular people on Instagram. Selena Gomez, #1 there. But you can also search by different categories. So this is the education category. You can see Harvard is way up there. Stanford, Texas A&M does really well on social. University of Michigan. But as I said before, it's more than just your followers, right? It's about engagement rate. So that ER column is engagement rate. You can sort by that. And look who's #7. That's pretty cool. BYU. There's lots of other categories you can go through. Again, this is just an FYI, just drilling through the idea that there's multiple ways to find influencers, right? And even if you're not using a tool like this, which you certainly don't have to, just having this in mind, who has influence for your group, I think is an important thing to think about. A couple final things here. You've got to weigh a couple of things when identifying influencers as well. So we talked about that reach. Who can we reach on what channels? What's their engagement rate like? But you also want to look at relevance. You got to make sure, does this influencer and their audience align with your objectives and your image? And there's a lot of examples of this one. You got to make sure you're comfortable with the image and reputation your potential influencer has. So you look at examples at universities and higher education. Johnny Manziel, just a few years ago, Heisman Trophy winner from Texas A&M, dynamic, young, energetic, fun, a lot of things that would make you think, let's partner with this kid. Let's work together on a post. He's got huge influence. Then you fast forward a year and he's in the NFL, and as this title says, troubled party boy, really quite a different image all of a sudden. That's not something you can predict, right? But it's something to keep in mind. Here's an example from Scott Disick, who's a celebrity influencer. I actually didn't know who he was, but he's associated with the Kardashians somehow, so I hear. So anyways, but you can see he has a big following, 12,000 likes on this Instagram post. But read through that caption for a second. As you can see, pretty lazy job by him. Instead of actually coming up with his own caption and following the instructions that were given to him by this company. So he's posting this for the company Boo Tea Shake. And he gets some instructions through an email. As you can see, he copied and pasted the instructions along with what he was supposed to say. So a little embarrassing for the company to reveal kind of that whole mishandling. Naomi Campbell, international supermodel working with Adidas here. Same thing, she copies and pastes the whole instructions from the email. This one was even more embarrassing, to say that they didn't pay me to say that. Not good for Naomi or Adidas. So stepping back from this and looking at applications for your own selves, obviously making sure that the people you partner with, the influencers that you have, are savvy on social media and understand how to do this, or at least you give them guidelines and you know that they'll follow those, can be really important in influencer marketing. So that's that first part in identifying influencers. I also have sections on approaching influencers and then cultivating those relationships with influencers. I won't have time to go through all of those, but let me see if I can cycle through real quick. Oh yeah, the Kate Hansen example too. Didn't have time for that. I go through the back and forth in this case study of how I talked with Beyonce's publicist to get this. I think this is the most impressive thing of my professional career, and I don't think I'll ever top it. So I'm going to keep talking about this over and over again, but I got Beyonce to post something for BYU on social media. Mm-hmm. So the backstory, I'm happy to share that with you through email or otherwise some other time. I'll just cycle through here to the final slides. Some final takeaways here. Obviously, the big thing is increasing your reach. That's a huge challenge on social media, right? You've got a small audience. How do you reach the people you want to reach? Using influencers can help you do that. Influence drives engagement. Look at those relationships you already have. Look for win-win opportunities. How can you help someone that's going to help you with influencer marketing? If you need help with pitching an influencer, how to work with them exactly, you could send me an email on that, or Michael, I'm sure we could help you. That phrasing can be really important, that process as far as that initial approach, the wording and the sentiment needs to be on the right level. And then build relationships and keep those relationships with your influencers. If you have more questions for me, there's my email address and my Twitter handle. You can follow us on Instagram to see what we're doing there. It's lots of fun. These slides are available. So the full slideshow is available right there from that bit.ly link at the bottom on SlideShare. You're more than welcome to check those out as well.
All right, Colette, I think, is with us now, and we're going to turn the rest of the time over to her for just a few more minutes. Hopefully everybody can hang with us, and we'll go from there. Colette, are you ready?
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me?
There you go. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Do you want me to share my screen really quickly?
Sure.
Would that work? Okay. So we have done a couple of different things. First of all, we started out, we wanted to know exactly how to reach everyone, and so we put together a survey about 6 months ago to find out how people were using social media, asking if you were using Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, where our alumni were, and found out that overwhelmingly they were on Facebook, which was our assumption, but we just wanted to make sure. We gave away some tickets and we got a few hundred people to actually respond to the survey, which we also asked a lot more than social media, but how they, things that they were interested in coming to or being involved in Austin. So that gave us some information. And then we maintained both a Facebook group and a Facebook private group, as well as a public page. And we actually, I feel like, have a little more engagement on our private page. The private page is good because it actually comes up higher in logarithms, like when people are actually on Facebook and looking at stuff, they actually, the feed or the things that we put out on our Facebook, the private group, will actually usually come up higher from what I understand. So this, and then we also do the public one. I like the public page because we can actually schedule content, which makes it easier to manage. So that part is good. But I think there's more engagement, like I said, on the private group. So I think you wanted me to talk about how we used social media with our most recent events. And one that we had recently was we had a Cougar 5K just less than a month ago with a pancake breakfast. And so we used social media to talk about how these are some of the recipients of, right here, if you can see my screen, these are some of the recipients that received our replenishment grants in the past. And so we put information out there about them so that people would understand that when they came and ran in the Cougar 5K, that they would be helping to sponsor future replenishment grants. And so we just tried to make it so that it was really easy for everybody. They could link directly from these little, the little things that we were throwing up here, and link directly to the sign up page. And then we posted pictures. Oh, this is the other event that I was going to mention is right before that, just a couple of weeks before, we actually had a dinner. And so we used social media. Let's see if I can find it on here. Maybe I can't. Oh, this is what it was. The Boots and Barbecue, the 21st of October, a couple of weeks prior to the 5K, we had Boots and Barbecue. And so we used social media to promote that. And we maxed out on attendance for the Boots and Barbecue for the maximum amount of people that we could handle at the event, that we could seat. And then we got almost 300 people to our first 5K run. So we were really happy about that. And I felt like social media played a big role because we were constantly talking to people. And we also use Instagram as well. I should mention that. Just we're kind of getting more into that. And we got a lot of kids, BYU students, to start following us because when we had our Texas roundup during homecoming week, we told them if they would go on and follow us on Instagram or Facebook, then they could be entered in to win prizes. So we had our Instagram account was blowing up that night. Everybody's starting to follow us. So that was a fun way to get more of them engaged. So are there any, this is more pictures from the nights.
We really want to thank John. That was great information, as well as Colette. Thank you so much for sharing. If you would like to send any one of us an email with more questions or more topics that you would like to have covered, we can also do a part 2 of social media training. We can invite John to come back and do that again for all of you. I think it was really helpful and informative, and we appreciate them very much. Also, again, our next training is going to be for chapter chairs and all officers. And we have set the tentative date for Tuesday, March 7th at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. But we are going to have another training in February just for our new chapters, and many new chapters out there. So again, if you want to join in, anybody can join in, but we'll be sending some more information and updates. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for all you do. We appreciate you. Send us any questions or things that you need. We are here to help you. We are here to support you, and we can't wait to continue to work and move the work forward. And again, we appreciate all of you. Thank you very much. If you have any suggestions for future training, send that to me directly. That would be great. And again, in this email that we send out to everybody, we'll send everybody's contact and emails. All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.